Good afternoon. My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Success Through E-Commerce, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Please mark your calendars for the next webinar in our digital bootcamp series, Mobile Apps, How to Plan, Execute, and Launch on October 22nd. And I'll drop that registration link in the chat momentarily. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box, and we will address them at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Cameron Nelson, CEO of Tenzing Startup Consultants. Cameron has over 19 years of experience in technology and as a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he also founded several tech companies, including a software as a service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language, culture, has an MBA and MA. He believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Nelson.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session today on e-commerce and how to have success for your business through e-commerce. I think this is an important topic today because many businesses have had to pivot to selling online during the pandemic, and I'm seeing more and more of those types of businesses continuing an online and e-commerce presence whilst now trying to get back into a physical type of selling situation as well, but they're doing both at the same time. So there's a lot of new changes with e-commerce every year. There's advancements and new things to be aware of to have a successful e-commerce business. So whether or not you're brand new at starting with an e-commerce selling business or you've been doing it for a while and you want to catch up on the latest trends or maybe ask a couple of questions at the end of the presentation, I'm glad you're here. We'll be covering some pretty important information, which will be critical for the success of your business and selling your products online. So we have a lot to cover, so let's jump right into the presentation. We have 3 goals for the bootcamp today. The first goal is to learn about what types of websites are available for your business and also what types of e-commerce platforms will work best for you in your particular industry and the products that you're selling. Second, I'm going to show you how to set up your e-commerce store and start listing your items for sale, following some of the best practices and trends that have really helped to revolutionize e-commerce selling in 2024. And lastly, I'm going to show you how to refine your approach over time. How do you look at your data and your analytics? How do you maximize your profits and understand who's buying your products and what price points are going to be best to sell your products at? So any discussion of having a successful e-commerce business needs to include talking about your business's website. For many of you, this is going to be something like www.yourbusiness.com, and it's your main kind of portal on the internet. It's like your home on the internet to have your own website and your own domain name like this. Now, you can do this in conjunction with selling on a third-party e-commerce site like Amazon, Shopify, or Etsy, and we're going to talk about those in a moment. But I also recommend that any serious business or startup have its own website, its own online presence. It helps to give your business a bit more legitimacy, and rather than just selling your products on an Amazon, Shopify, or Etsy site all by itself. So if you already have a business website, you can pay attention and see what level you fall into, and maybe you'll also see what level you should be upgraded to meet your business goals. And if you're creating a website for the first time, this will be a good rundown to help you decide what level you need to be at. So the first level of websites for your business is a basic level website. This is a very simple website, more of an online brochure, really. And it's not going to have any shopping and e-commerce capabilities. So you won't have products listed for sale with a button where people can buy it now. and pay with a credit card. That won't be included. So this type of website's only really going to work if you have a simple business, maybe provides a service like a hair and nail salon or something like that, where you just want to advertise your business, have some photos, and have contact information. You can do that with a basic level website. Moving up, a level 2 website is really the minimum level that you need to be selling your products online. This website will have more pages, more text and image descriptions, maybe even some videos, but they will link to an external site like an Amazon to sell your products. You won't be selling them on your website, you'll link externally. So it's faster and cheaper to build this type of website than the more advanced ones. A level 3 robust level website integrates those shopping capabilities directly onto your website itself. So your website visitors don't need to go to an external site to purchase the product. This helps to give nice continuity, and it helps to give a more premium feel of your brand and your products. And you then have the ability to take the credit card payments right on your own website. You get the notifications and you can ship that, whether you ship that directly yourself from your warehouse or business, or you drop ship from another provider, that's up to you. But this level website, level 3, also helps you integrate things like social media pages with your Facebook or your Instagram. You can get more complex and more advanced with how you sell your products. And you'll see as you go up in levels of website that you're able to convert a greater percentage of your website visitors into paying customers. So with all of these new features and advances, it helps you to get more sales. And finally, there's a level 4 website, which is really the more advanced level that not everybody will need. If you need to have a lot of, say, video reviews or video testimonials, you can do that with a more advanced website. And maybe you want to sell on subscription packages on a monthly or annual subscription. You can have those types of payments and sales through an advanced level website. So if you already have one of these levels of website, what are your considerations for upgrading? Well, if you have no website at all, then you can start with a basic website, and you can usually get these for free if you're willing to let the company put their logo on your website from a site like Wix.com or Squarespace.com or Weebly. Also, if you create a profile on Shopify, Etsy, or Amazon, they offer you a page that you can customize with your company's name and logo. So that's also suffices for a very basic website. And again, these are sufficient if you're just not really selling physical products, but if you're just having more of a brochure website online that you want, you can maybe get away with a level 1 website. But for many people here, I think level 2 website is really the minimum website that you would want to be considering because it allows you to customize the website more, getting a higher percentage of people converting to be your customers and buy your products. But you will still link to these third-party sites to complete the checkout process. A level 3, a robust level website, often comes at an investment that's between $2,000 and $9,000, depending on if you get it developed here in Virginia, if you get it developed offshore in a cheaper country. And this will allow you to target your market with much greater customization. And you can do things like have unique landing pages for different marketing campaigns, do A/B testing, which is a method where you have two very similar product pages, but you'll have one element different between them. So maybe you're wondering what the title of the page should be or what the first picture of the product should be to get the most sales. You can test one theory at a time through A/B testing. So it enables you to do these more advanced type of techniques. And finally, a level 4 advanced website is necessary if you have something quite complex to sell. So say you're selling something that comes in a lot of variations or colors and shapes and sizes. You might need a more robust checkout process to help that get sold. You maybe need videos, or maybe you want geolocation so you know where your visitors are coming from. Maybe you want subscription models or a user login, things like that. Costs for this type of website can get quite high, up to $45,000, depending on what features you need to sell your products. So I talked a little bit about some of the costs for creating these types of websites, but I want to dive more into now the operating expenses so you as a business owner have a good idea of what your expenses are going to be long term to maintain a website of your own. The first category is the hosting of the website. So with any domain name you buy, like yourbusiness.com, expect to spend about $20 a year for owning that domain name. In addition to that, you'll have to pay for hosting your website. And this is paying for the computer somewhere in the world that actually serves up your website pages and files and images to your website visitors. For a basic level, you can get away with about $50 a year for website hosting. It's a very cheap plan. Minimum level website is around $100 a year. Robust is about $150 a year. And an advanced level website about $250 a year. This is because the more in-depth and complicated your website, the more files and images that need to be served up. So it increases the amount of bandwidth and you pay more for that. The next category of expense is your email address. So if you're only investing in a level 1 basic website, the cheapest email address you can get that I've ever seen at your domain name is about $1 a month or $12 a year. And I've seen this through a company called Zoho, ZOHO.com. They offer this very cheap website email. Now, it is fine. It's not a beautiful or intuitive interface when you log in and check the emails there, but it does work. And if you're going to invest in a level 3 or 4 website, I would recommend you get an email address powered by Google, which gives you the same interface as you would have with a private Gmail address, which is very powerful and intuitive. It's great for business. And also you get access to Google Docs, which is the spreadsheets, the Word documents, Google Meet, all of those tools. They cost about $75 a year per email address. And I would think this is a very good investment to make for your business going forward. The next category is paid ads. So you built a great website, but you do need to advertise that online to get the word out there and to attract people to the website. If you're just having a basic website, it's usually not a good idea to spend money on paid ads, in my opinion. Rather, you would probably want to invest that money into building a better website, at least a level 2 website, if you're going to have paid ads. And you expect to spend about $100 a month on paid ads with a level 2 website. And typically you'll spend this money in Google and Facebook ads, though there are a couple other options out there. Depending on your industry, you might have a better bang for your buck at a different ad network. A level 3 website, you can expect to spend about $3,000 a year to advertise it successfully online. And with a bigger business with an advanced level website, they can easily spend $10,000 a year or more on their online advertising. The next category is the development of the website. I think everybody here in this meeting can definitely build a basic website on their own. It's something that's fairly simple nowadays. You don't need to know how to code or program. But if you feel like you really do want help, a freelancer to help build that, you can expect to spend around $300 to $1,000 for a basic level website, $750 to $3,000 for a minimum level website, $2,000 to $9,000 for a robust level website, and $8,000 to $45,000 for an advanced level website. And the only other expense would be what's called SSL, which is a secure encryption layer between the credit card information entered onto your website and the credit card processing networks like MasterCard or Visa. If you're taking the credit card payments on your own site with a level 3 or 4 website, you do need to have SSL enabled. And sometimes this is free, sometimes there's a small fee. So expect to spend maybe around $100 a year at the most for the SSL. So this really does encapsulate all of the expenses you would expect to pay for your own business website. So as I mentioned, this business website was a really important part of your strategy on selling online. It gives your business a home online. It increases your legitimacy, the quality of your brand image, and you can sell your products for a higher price point. But many of you would choose to sell products on your website and on one or more of these e-commerce sites. So next, we're going to look at each of these 5 e-commerce sites in a bit of detail, talk about the pros and the cons, so you can get some idea of which site or sites would be the best ones to sell your products at. These are the top 5 largest e-commerce platforms in the world, which is why I'm going to talk about them in most detail. There are others. I sometimes get asked, what about eBay? What about some other sites? Yes, those are definitely valid options. I just focus on these 5. But if you have questions on other e-commerce sites that you're thinking about selling on, please let me know at the end of the presentation and I can try to answer your questions. So the first site here is Shopify. Their price structure is between $9 and $79 per month, depending on what type of business you are and what you're trying to sell. And they charge a transaction fee as well between 0 and 2%. And they give you a 0% if you use their payment gateway for credit card processing, which is pretty nice. It's very easy to set up your products on Shopify and to start selling them. You don't need any experience running an online business whatsoever. You just need things like your product names, descriptions, and images, which I'll talk about more in a moment, how you get really good descriptions and images. But Shopify doesn't allow you to customize the checkout process very much. So if you're selling something that comes in sizes, shapes, colors, different textures or patterns, Shopify might not be the best platform for you to use. The next one here is Etsy. They charge a 6.5% transaction fee plus 20-cent listing fee per item. In addition, they're also going to charge around a 3% payment processing fee for your credit card processing. They focus on vintage and handmade items, arts and crafts supplies, and they're also very easy to set up and to list your products on, like Shopify. Third on the list is Facebook Shops. Facebook Shops integrates very well with Facebook and with Instagram. So if you're already using those for your business for marketing purposes, it can be a logical extension to sell on Facebook Shops. They charge a 5% sales fee or a 40-cent fee for shipment items that are shipping at $8 or less. This site is geared towards small businesses and merchants. So basically the audience that we have here today. And a big advantage of this is that Facebook has over 2.5 billion users. So it gives you a lot of organic search traffic, people looking for goods and services on Facebook. In fact, after Google, Facebook is the world's second largest search engine. So there's a lot of people using it every day, searching for things that they can buy and products that they need. Next on the list is Amazon. They charge $1 per item or $40 a month, plus a fulfillment fee that can range between $2 and $6. One unique thing about Amazon is that they can warehouse and ship your items for you, and they charge the fulfillment fee for that service. So if you want them to warehouse, ship, handle your returns, handle your customer service, they'll charge you more for that. But a lot of small businesses find that it's very convenient and saving them a lot of time to have Amazon do those tasks. It's the largest e-commerce platform in the world. So people come to Amazon all the time looking for products to buy, though it's not without some downsides, which I will talk about later. And I feel like Amazon's best if you're selling things that come in multiple sizes, like colors, shapes, maybe shoe sizes and different patterns. They have a good way to help you help your customers visualize those and pick the right size and shape with drop-down menus. And last on the list is Amazon Handmade. They don't charge any monthly fee, but they have a flat 15% fee on all of your sales. And you can sell things with, I think, the all Amazon experience, which is a very excellent shopping experience. It's made them the largest e-commerce platform in the world. And it's good if you're selling things in multiple sizes and shapes. Though you do need to qualify by submitting an artisan application, which ensures that there's a higher quality of product being sold on Amazon Handmade than maybe Etsy or Shopify. Though this process can take over a month and will involve several rounds of forms to fill out, phone interviews, and maybe even a face-to-face video interview. So it is an in-depth application process, and not everybody is accepted. Though if you can get accepted to Amazon Handmade and you're selling in an arts and crafts type industry, this can be a really great place to sell your products. So next, I want to talk about each of these five in a little bit more detail, showing here their home pages and just talking through some of the reasons why you would want to choose this platform or not. So the first one is Shopify. They really bill themselves as the global e-commerce platform, and they say you can build your business with Shopify to sell online, offline, and everywhere in between. What they mean by that is that they're happy to give you a physical card reader that you can take with you to your business or a farmer's market or wherever you're selling physically. And when you sell a product, it automatically deducts from your Shopify inventory. So inventory is centralized in one place, billing centralized in one place. So they make it easy if you want to have both physical and online selling. So Shopify is very easy to use. They have their own payment processor, so they give you a 0% credit card payment processing fee. It's scalable, so you can have thousands of products in your inventory, thousands of different SKUs. you're not going to run out of the ability to grow your business on Shopify for quite a while. They have an app marketplace, which is kind of like these plugins for your Shopify website if you decide to build a presence on Shopify. And they can be nice to give you some additional features. You don't have to pay a developer always to develop you a new custom section of your website if there's an app for that on their marketplace. Shopify is the only major platform that supports NFTs, which some of you might be familiar with and others maybe have never heard of, but it's an element of cryptocurrency in the blockchain, and it stands for non-fungible tokens. So essentially, these became popular a couple of years ago for people selling a digital good like a painting or a music clip or a video, anything that's digital. And you can create a one-off copy of this thing and somebody can buy it from you. And it can't be copied or duplicated. It's a unique one-off thing of this digital asset. So if you're selling things that are along these lines and you want to learn more, then you can go to this website, shopify.com/NFT, and they'll walk you through how they can help you create the NFTs to sell your digital products on the blockchain, which might be a useful way for some of you to help get your products out there. The next site here is Etsy. As we can see, some of the categories Etsy's focusing on are things like Father's Day gifts, so seasonal gifts, jewelry and accessories, clothing, including shoes, home and living, things like wedding and party supplies, toys, arts and collectibles, craft supplies. So some reasons to choose Etsy would be that if you have a focus on one of these type of niches, it can be a great place because people come to Etsy looking for these types of arts and craft supplies. It's very easy to set up a page on Etsy to sell your products. Like I said, it kind of already has a built-in audience as it's known for an arts and supply and handmade good type of site. And they give some pretty helpful analytical tools to help you see your data, how many people looked at your product pages, how long they spent looking at them, how many of them converted into paying customers. And over time, you can see trends that can help you monetize your page and your product selling better with Etsy. So it's a pretty good site if you're selling for the arts and crafts products. Now, the next one here is Facebook Shops. And this shouldn't be confused with Facebook Marketplace. Some of you might have heard of Facebook Marketplace. It's where people go to sell, a used item, usually just one of them. Where Facebook Shops is a real e-commerce store. It's meant for merchants who have multiple items that are all the same, and they want to sell their inventory quickly. And so Facebook Shops is built on Facebook, and if you're already using Facebook or Instagram, then it can be a very logical place to list because you can have a post about a product, and then there can be a link to buy the product right there in the post, and it kind of doesn't take them away from Facebook. It keeps the experience all in Facebook. Well, of course, Facebook loves that. So that's why they built this site to help people stay on Facebook even more. It does give you access to a very large audience, over 2.5 billion users on Facebook. It does integrate with social media, of course, on Facebook and Instagram. You can customize the look and the feel of your page on Facebook Shops quite a bit to make it customized to your business, your branding, colors, fonts, your logo, and things like that. And it gives you also really excellent insight into your analytics with reports and graphs and charts to help you understand where you're doing well and how you can be doing better in selling your products. Now, one thing to note is that if you're going to use Facebook Shops, you do need to start with a Facebook account. And if you don't already agree with Facebook's privacy issues, with how they use your data and your privacy around that, then Facebook Shops is probably not going to be for you because they do basically say, they will use your data that they gather from your shop and your business and use it how they want and sell it to who they want, just like Facebook does. So if you don't agree with that policy, this one isn't for you. But if you're already on Facebook and you like it, this can be a really great place to sell your products. Amazon's an e-commerce site that I'm sure we are all familiar with. It's the world's largest e-commerce site. And I think it has a lot of really good things going for it. It also has some pretty big negatives that you should be aware of. So some reasons to choose Amazon is that it's the largest e-commerce platform. It's got a massive user base, every day, millions of people searching for things, and you could be a search result, and they can easily buy your product. Like I mentioned, you can also have your goods warehoused with Amazon, shipped by Amazon. They can handle your returns and a lot of other things. These are the fulfillment services. And none of the other sites really offer this. Prime shipping allows your users, if they're Prime members, to get free shipping. So Amazon, again, just handles that for you. And they also give you good tools to help you advertise. If you want to create kind of a paid ad for your Amazon product, you can do that here on Amazon. So a lot of advantages. Some disadvantages are, I think, that Amazon, because they're the largest, has a ton of fraud, and small businesses can get exploited here fairly easily. There's not really strong copyright protection against your product being ripped off by somebody else and then sold. So one example of this is about a year ago now, I worked with a handmade pasta company in Virginia, and they made dry pasta and they shipped it and sold it on Amazon. And they were doing really well, making over $100,000 a month in sales on Amazon until they noticed that it dramatically decreased one month, and they didn't know why until they found out there was a copycat company that had basically ripped off their box, their packaging, their product, their branding, everything, and was selling under their name but cheaper. And so this was a big problem for the pasta company, losing a ton of revenue, and they contacted Amazon multiple times. But the issue here is that Amazon is not willing to step in and shut down the counterfeiters. This is time and time again, you hear stories of this happening, and it's in the news, and it just happens to a lot of people. So if your product does get big, somebody could, maliciously copy that and sell it, and it could really hurt your business. So my recommendation here is that if you're going to use Amazon, diversify and don't just sell on Amazon. If you start to get big, it could be a risk. Somebody would copy you. If you're small, it's probably not much of a risk, but of course you want to get big. So have a plan of also building up a robust website of your own that you can sell directly. So if someday you're having trouble with Amazon or any of these e-commerce sites, you can more easily pivot to selling on your website and not take such a big hit to your revenue and having to scramble to do that. And the last one is Amazon Handmade, which is kind of like Etsy, but it's Amazon's version of handmade items, things like jewelry, home decor, kitchen, dining, beauty products, and pet products. So if you choose Amazon Handmade, there's a few advantages. One is that brand integrity. You've got to go through this artisan application, which, as I said, is not easy. So it discourages a lot of scammers from even attempting it. It's Prime eligible, so again, people with Amazon Prime can get this stuff shipped to them for free, which is a win-win. There's no listing fees, so they take that 15% sales fee I said, and they can help you do the fulfillment services. So I would highly recommend you look into this if you're selling in any of these product categories that are handmade or handcraft items. So now that we've went through and looked at the top 5 e-commerce platforms, hopefully you have an idea in your mind of which platform or platforms would work best for your business to sell your products on. Next, I'm going to talk about how do you set up your e-commerce store on any of these platforms. The steps are going to be basically the same going forward. First, you're going to find a product or products to sell. Secondly, I'm going to show you how to customize your starting e-commerce template. And third, I'm going to talk to you how do you add your products and sell them successfully. So how do you find a product or products to sell? I meet businesses who have as few as 2 or 3 products and those who have over 1,000. So how many products do you want to sell? I think if you're starting off on this, having 1,000 products is way too many. It's very time consuming to write, update, and maintain descriptions and images, maybe videos of all of those products, especially across multiple sites. So I would focus in on maybe the top 10 to 20 products of your best sellers and start with listing those first. And when you're looking to find a product to sell, ask yourself a few questions. Does this product solve a customer pain point? And the bigger the pain it solves, the better it's going to sell. Does the product appeal to an enthusiast or hobbyist crowd? And if so, then Amazon Handmade or Etsy can be logical places to sell it on. Does it go with your personal passion and build on your own unique experience? Because you need some leg up, some unique insight into selling your product, because undoubtedly there's going to be dozens or hundreds of other people already selling something very, very similar. So you do need some insight that's unique to you to make you stand out. You want to try to capitalize on any trends early in your industry. And you can locate trends by reading reviews on competing products. I also like to look at the negative reviews because it can give you a really great insight into what people do not like about your competitors' products. So you can either address that in your product design or in the product descriptions. And you can say how you are better than the competitors by finding out what their weak points are. You should litmus test before you launch all of your products, which just means don't go out and launch every product you have in your catalog or you have available. Launch one or two products in different categories and kind of spread out your efforts. Get a sense for what's selling the best. And then maybe you can double down and focus on a category that's really selling well to maximize your profits online. You should always be browsing what's trending in online marketplaces. Amazon has, what they say is the number one seller in the category that day, and they make that public. You can see that right on their website. But there's other third-party sites that also give you deep analysis into selling trends, not just on Amazon, but on other e-commerce sites. And one that I like to use is called Camel Camel Camel. So it's just like the animal, 3 times over. So camelcamelcamel.com. And they've been around a few years and they do a great job at helping you see trends, prices on all sorts of products being sold online through the big e-commerce sellers. Try to sell products that are selling for you and giving you a higher profit margin because as you've seen, your profits get eaten away with the fees, with the credit card processing fees, with the fulfillment fees if you go with Amazon. And you don't want to be in the situation where you're making so little profit from each sale that it's not worth your time to maintain it. You want to make sure your profit margins are high enough going in. So pick the products with the highest profit margins that you can. And always be on the lookout for new trends and opportunities. And don't just be static in your place selling online. So once you've identified what products you're going to sell, you're going to want to set up and customize your e-commerce template. All of these e-commerce platforms I just mentioned, they give you a range of starting templates. They're going to probably look very beautiful. They're updated regularly, at least once a year. And you can build your store's design on a template. Ask yourself these questions when you're choosing a template. What features do you want your store to have? What style of homepage do you want? Do you want, a video front and center? Do you have a really great product video? Maybe you'd prefer to have pictures or text at the top of your page. How do you want your customers to move around your store? Do you want to have all of your products listed on the home page, or do you want them broken up into different categories? So if you have a lot of products, putting them in categories is probably the best bet, but you should think carefully through the navigational aspect of your store. It'll help people find the products that they want faster. And customizing your page is going to be pretty easy. You can change a lot of things, including your text, the size of the text and the fonts, the color scheme. Of course, you can put your own product images and your own logo. You can move around the positioning of the products, change the features, and embed things like social media links. This is a good idea because often a customer won't jump on buying a product from a new company the very first time they see it. They're most likely to think about it for a while, which could be a couple of minutes or a couple of days or longer. By having links to your social media pages, if you're active on those, it is a way for a customer to click on the link, go see what's happening on your Facebook or Instagram or your X account, see what people are saying about your products, see how active you are, and that helps them make that buying decision quicker. So in order to add your products to any of the e-commerce sites, and this also goes for your own website as well, you'll need the following things. You'll need the product name, the price, what a category it falls under, the weight of the product, which is critical for calculating shipping, or if it's a digital product like an image or video or an ebook, you'll need the file. And there's 3 key ingredients to having great products, which are the product descriptions, the product images, and the product categories. So first, when you write a product description, you need to have all the details of the product in there. You need to be convincing to your target market about why this is solving a pain point that they have. But you should also avoid several things. Definitely avoid any complex jargon or abbreviations, things that might not be known to everybody. You shouldn't assume that abbreviations will be known to your target market, so always spell those out. You want to avoid using cliches. and avoid long sentences because people generally don't read a very long product description. They'd rather see a short description and see some images, and better yet, a video showing off that product. So having good product images is a really critical aspect of selling successfully online. Here's a few tips on how to get good looking product images without a big budget. First off, the image here on the left is a photography light box. As you can see, it's a very simple setup that ensures a neutral white background with even lighting. You can buy a setup like this for $30 or $40. It comes with the lights and the background. And all you really need is a camera on a tripod in a fixed position to take images that are very consistent and good quality of your products. And this is going to really help your product stand out and look good online. I'm sure we've all noticed good product pictures do make a world of difference when we're deciding on what products to buy. Now, most people with a modern smartphone can take a picture with your smartphone and it'll be of an acceptable quality in these situations, especially if you have bright enough light. You don't need to invest in a special camera in most cases. Some of the e-commerce websites will provide a 360-degree view option. So if you have some fine details on the back or the side of a product and you really want somebody to see that in a 360-degree view, I encourage you to follow the instructions to create those types of 360-degree experiences, which will help sell your products. Make sure you add all of the product variation images. So every variation of a size or a shape or color or pattern, have a picture of every option so people can see exactly what they're going to be buying. And like the 360-degree option, some sites have the ability to zoom in to see really fine detail. It could be pottery or needlework or something that you really need to zoom in to see. And in these scenarios, you'll have the option of uploading a very high resolution image to these sites, and you'll be able to enable a zoom in type of feature. So one thing here is if you take an image with a smartphone or even a big DSLR camera, the file size is going to be quite large for displaying on an e-commerce website. Typically, those files might be 5 to 10 megabytes in size, and you're going to want to make sure you compress those, or also called optimizing those images for an e-commerce site before you upload them either to Amazon, Etsy, or Shopify, or to your own website. Because if they're left in the large format, they will take a long time to load on the page, which can make people leave it before the images have loaded. So you can just search Google for online image compression tool, and there's a lot of them out there. They all work very, very similarly. You'll upload your original file. You'll tell the target size. In most cases, I would say around 100 to 200 kilobytes of size is fine. And you'll then download the compressed or optimized version. So don't forget to always do that before you upload your product images to the website. So here we can see some examples of really good modern product images. And I'm going to walk you through why these images are good and successful. The first one is an example of a dimension image. In this case, it looks like it's a cat holder for an Alexa. But the important thing is that it's showing kind of a cutaway of where the product fits inside of the cat holder and then the relative size. So you can get a sense of how much space this will take up on your table or wherever you have the Alexa. The next example is a comparison chart. We see a lot of these on Amazon nowadays, and it's useful when you read the competitors' negative comments and you see what people don't like about their products. You can create a comparison chart, or if you don't want to create these, there's a ton of graphic designers you can hire online to make these relatively inexpensively, any of these fancy graphics. So this comparison chart just shows why your advantages are good over the competitors and really where you excel. The next one is a 3D image of infograph. So the infograph is helpful to call out here's 6 key selling points. Each one has a little graphic to help people remember it, and a 3D image of kind of what's going on inside of this product. Other popular types of images to use in your e-commerce store are things like the creation process, a scale shot, really helpful if it's going on somebody's body or their hands so they can get a sense of how big it is, and a group shot. So you don't need to take a picture of every item individually necessarily. Here we have a picture of 4 very similar lotions. And this can be a useful way to not have hundreds of different pictures, but you can group similar items and use the same image on the different product pages. Now, one aspect of selling with e-commerce that I get asked about more and more frequently and is becoming more important in the decision-making process of online buyers is what sustainability practices are being used by this seller. Because 46% of consumers are more likely to purchase from companies that support environmental or social causes, and they have a strong preference for brands with sustainable practices. So here are some key impacts on purchasing decisions and how you can brand yourself and make yourself a sustainable e-commerce business. The first one is you can implement sustainable practices. You can both implement ethical sourcing and talk about it in your product descriptions. You can implement eco-friendly packaging and manufacturing processes. The second aspect are what business benefits you can derive from being more sustainable. As we've seen, 46% of consumers value brands that are sustainable, so it increases your brand loyalty. It makes repeat customers more likely. And as we all know, it's much easier to get a second sale from a repeat customer than to get a brand new customer, both in time and in cost. So having that brand loyalty is really key for helping your business grow online. Secondly, it can help you be more competitive in the market because you are differentiating yourself from your competitors who are not focused on sustainable practices. And next, with your call to action. So you should always be communicating your efforts and how you are sustainable if you choose to go down this route. Communicate them frequently. So on your social media, on your website, and in your product descriptions or images. And to always be evaluating and adjusting. So if you find that your eco-friendly packaging is over the course of a couple months, it's costing too much money to sustain based on the amount of boosted revenue that you got from that decision, you should be adjusting. Maybe there's a different packaging option. So always be evaluating and adjusting your decisions, which will help you maintain the highest profit margins possible. Now, AI is a word that is being used in seemingly every sort of industry and scenario in 2024. And all of these e-commerce platforms are definitely getting on the trend of AI. They're using AI in different ways to help you as a seller and your target market find your products and to make their platforms better. So first is Shopify. Shopify uses AI to personalize product recommendations based on a user's browsing and purchase history. And it's also giving users better search functionality within stores, helping these customers find the products they want more efficiently. So Shopify is doing this all in the background. You don't have to have any active part in this, but it's helping them find your products faster and better. Next is Etsy. They're also having an improved search and discovery of products. But interestingly, Etsy also helps manage and suggest pricing strategy to you as the sellers. And Etsy will help you optimize your listings to match buyer search patterns and preferences. So I do feel like Etsy, from the seller's point of view, has a better implementation of AI right now. It does give you some key features that Shopify is not offering. Facebook Shops is personalized the shopping experience and making product recommendations, so like the other two. And they've also added the visual search in Instagram, and you can see items available in shops without leaving the Instagram post that you're looking at. So some pretty slick integrations between Instagram and Facebook Shops. So if you're using Instagram, if you have a following on Instagram, then Facebook Shops can be a great way to sell your products. Amazon also uses AI and customer data to provide product recommendations. And they also have started doing AI summaries of user reviews, which is interesting. So some products have thousands of reviews, and Amazon now uses AI to summarize these. But they also help you forecast demand and help you manage inventory as a seller. So they are helping the sellers a bit with AI. So these will all be evolving rapidly. I think every couple of months, these e-commerce platforms innovate their use of AI because they're competitive against each other as well. So we can expect to see lots more changes with the use of AI and the implementation as time goes on. So lastly, we're going to talk about how do you launch your store and maximize your profits. I'm going to talk about how you set up your payment methods, how to preview, test, and publish your online store, and also how to follow up and do a review of your progress 4 to 6 weeks after you launch. So how do you set up your payment methods and what do you expect to pay? So the general charge of accepting a credit card payment, whether it's on your own website or using an e-commerce site, it typically ranges between 1% and 10 cents per transaction, all the way up to 3% and 30 cents per transaction. This varies based on the originating and destination credit card processing networks, what middlemen are involved, and a lot of other factors. There's 3 popular ways to accept payments on your e-commerce store. And the first one is a merchant account and payment gateway. So in this scenario, you would have a business bank account with a large bank, say it was Wells Fargo or Chase, and they will give you the ability to accept a credit card payment on your website and put that money directly in your account. They will be your credit card processor for that payment. You'll pay them that fee. Next is a payment gateway package, which is a piece of software which you connect to your store's shopping cart. So one example of this is if you have a WordPress website, you might have heard of a plugin called WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is this payment gateway package in these scenarios, and it's the most popular payment gateway for WordPress websites, which is why I'm talking about it specifically. So it's this piece of software. It creates the checkout button, it creates the shopping cart, and it does all the back end charging of the credit cards and depositing money in your bank account. And the third option is simplified credit card payment processing. This is a service that integrates with your store's checkout as like Shopify's checkout process. Shopify is so big, they built their own payment gateway. And as I mentioned before, if you use Shopify's payment gateway, they charge you a 0% credit card processing fee. So this sounds nice, but don't forget that they're, I'm sure, making up that fee in other parts of their fee structure to you. So it's not like you're getting away with for something for nothing. They are definitely going to charge you in other ways, but they don't charge you directly for the payment processing. So depending on your unique setup and scenario, any one of these 3 could be the most cost effective, but I just want you to be aware of what your options are. The next step is to preview and test and then publish your online store. It's really important that you have a lot of people review it. You know, it's like with anything in life, if you write something, inevitably you might gloss over grammar errors, typos, or just other odd things. So have other people look it over before your customers do. It's a good idea to check your test your checkout process. So you can do this by placing an order yourself, making sure any email notifications come in like they should. And then you can also just refund yourself to test out the refund process. Always do that at least once. In addition to checking grammar and content, make sure all the links or the buttons are working. So hit every single link and make sure it goes to the right place, because you don't want to find anything that will frustrate your customers once you've launched your store. Also, it's a good opportunity here to check your pictures. Like I said, if you forget to compress or optimize an image, you will see it loading very slowly on the web page, especially on a slower internet connection. You might have all the images load instantly, but one is just kind of chugging away, loading top to bottom very slowly. That's an indication that you forgot to compress that one. It's probably still 10 megabytes, and that will definitely annoy your target users coming to the site. And so you want to find those images if there are any, compress them, then re-upload the new compressed version and replace the old one. And lastly, if this is your first time creating an online e-commerce selling business, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to keep track of, and it's not always easy to gauge your success after the first 4 to 6 weeks. So I recommend that you follow up. You can have a meeting with an SBDC advisor, talk about your goals and your progress. Here's some questions that are good to talk about. You know, did you meet your sales revenue goals for the first month? What feedback did you receive from your customers online? This could be on comments on your social media page, reviews of the products, or maybe emails directly to you, the business owner. What products sold the best and the worst? What new ideas do you have now for future products to sell online? What have you learned from your competitors over this time? Because you can be sure your competitors aren't being or constantly looking at reviews or constantly thinking up new ideas. So you should be doing this as well. Even if you're just taking notes, they could lead to future business opportunities. And what are you going to try to do differently in month 2+ as you go and expand? You should have a strategy of how you're going to adapt and do better going forward. So I hope this information was useful. I'm happy to take your questions now and the time we have remaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. That was always as informational as always. And we right now only have 2 questions. So like Cameron said, if you have any more questions, please drop them into the Q&A box and we will get those answered for you. So the first question was, does the producer pay for the shipping in Amazon Handmade if the buyer has Amazon Prime?
So how Amazon does the shipping with Prime, it does vary a bit, and I'm not sure their current policies. But generally speaking, that if the customer has Amazon Prime, Amazon ships it for free, but you as the seller, you pay some sort of part of that and the fulfillment and processing fees. Though exactly how much that comes to, it varies by the size and the weight of the package. So there are a lot of fluctuations there that can change that.
Next question. Where do I find the application/information about Amazon Handmade?
So the last time I helped a business go through this process about 6 months ago, I believe it was just amazon.com/handmade. And there was a button there that says, do you want to apply as an artisan? So it was just starting there. Um, as I said, there's several steps. There's a form you fill out first, and there's a phone interview. And then sometimes there's follow-up phone or video interviews as well. And they're also going to want copies of all your business paperwork, the legal paperwork. You know, if you have an LLC set up, they're going to want to see copies of all the legal stuff. So just be aware that it's an in-depth process. So you're going to want to have some time set aside for that.
Next question. This attendee is inquiring about other forms of payment such as PayPal or Venmo.
So Venmo is not typically a payment option on e-commerce sites. It's more, I think it's more of a, you know, like a point to point between two people who are maybe friends or something paying for a good that way. That's generally where I've seen it used. PayPal, though, definitely is a very valid online payment option. Now, PayPal competes pretty directly with MasterCard and Visa, so they're also going to take a fee that's very similar between the 1% and the 3%. So yeah, if you're selling on any of these e-commerce platforms, probably paying with PayPal is going to be an option. I don't believe it is on Amazon, but I think with Etsy and Shopify, usually PayPal is an option. So some have it, some don't. If you're building your own website and you're selling through your own website, then yes, PayPal is always going to be an option. You can accept payments through PayPal. But keep in mind, they're similar to the other credit card processors as far as the fees go. And they might even be a little bit more expensive in some scenarios. So generally speaking, the bigger e-commerce stores, they prefer just to deal directly with MasterCard, Visa networks, which are the most common, as they tend to be a little cheaper.
Next question. What do you think of TikTok Shop? Would you suggest it? Are there drawbacks that you know of to using the TikTok Shop?
So TikTok, if anybody doesn't know, is a video platform like YouTube, but it's really meant for super short videos, like 20 or 30-second clips. And it's become very popular with a younger crowd. I think under 25, maybe it's like even 12 to 18-year-olds is the most common demographic. So if you're selling to a very young audience, then I have heard of people successfully, marketing on TikTok. I have not really had experience with the TikTok shops, as you said, so I can't really give direct advice on that. I don't think they're one of the bigger ones yet. I do know that, having a video on TikTok is a good place if you have video content and people can learn about your products there. But I don't really have direct information about selling on a TikTok shop platform if that exists.
Next question. I already have a Shopify website, but need help with driving traffic and conversion. Can you help me? I think that's probably a very involved question, but I'll let you adjust that, Cameron. If you can quickly give a good synopsis, or I would say go to the
Yeah.
SBDC.
Yeah. So, yes, generally speaking, to get started would be like an hour long kind of phone call or meeting. look at it, talk to you, right? Get a lot more information. So we don't have the time to go in depth on that now. There are definitely some tactics that I would recommend you employ. There's the SEO aspect, the search engine optimization aspect on Shopify, where you use tags on your products to match up with search terms. That's a key way of helping to drive more traffic to your site. Also, having good product images and good product descriptions. So all of that would need to be reviewed with a professional. As was said, there are folks at the SBDC who have the skills. So please email help@virginiasbdc.org. If you'd like to talk to me about it, you can request that, and I'll get that message, and we can talk about that more. But yeah, it's usually going to be a couple hour long process to diagnose that and to make some recommendations.
Great. Okay, what's the best way to stay on top of changes in AI for the various e-commerce site options? Go to each site, or is this reviewed anywhere?
So with big e-commerce sites like Amazon, if they do something new with AI, then the news outlets pick it up, like it'll be in the daily news, in the tech news generally, that kind of thing. But that's only with the big platforms and only if they have a big announcement. Usually when I see updates, it's because I go to the site and I see that they announce it on their own site, because for Etsy or Amazon or Shopify, it's a big selling point that they want to get the word out that they're being innovative with AI. So they do usually announce that on their homepage. So it wouldn't hurt to once a week go to the homepages of each and just see if there's any announcement. Other than that, of course, just Googling. So you could Google and there might be a more obscure news outlet that's focusing on more tech news that might talk about Etsy's new AI thing, and it might not be in the mainstream news. So for those things, just Google, Etsy AI news and filter from source results from the last week or so in Google would be a very effective way for seeing the more minor updates and the minor trends that are happening.
Let's see, what qualifications are there to offer payment processing through Amazon when using a private retail site?
I'm not really sure what the question means, what a private retail site implies, unless you're referring to having your own website like yourbusiness.com. But if you want to let me know if I'm right about that assumption, I can then try to answer.
Okay, yeah, Jason, if you can elaborate, please. Let's see, next question. So if you design things that you don't produce yourself, what websites are good to use for that? So and the example is like book merchandise, or like T-shirts and things like that. They don't produce themselves, but
Yeah.
what websites would be good to use for that?
So if you're designing but not manufacturing yourself, then
That's
you
what
might be looking at a scenario of drop shipping the product from your manufacturing place to the customer's address. If that's the scenario, then Amazon's not really going to work because they're not going to do drop shipping in that way. You could do that kind of setup with Etsy or Shopify pretty easily, especially if you know how many you have in inventory. So if your manufacturer has 100 of these t-shirts, you can set your quantity of 100 of these on Etsy or Shopify, and you could figure out a method of drop shipping it there instead of having it warehoused with you and shipping it yourself. So I mean that's the first idea. But if you have any follow-up questions or more details about that, let me know. Maybe there's some more information I can provide.
And back to the last question, what qualifications are there to offer payment processing through Amazon when using a private retail site? Yes, was referring to their own domain website.
Yeah. So typically the way you would use your own website in conjunction with Amazon is you would have, let's say you're selling kid stuffed animals, you would have, say, your whole inventory of stuffed animals on your website, and you would have either some or all of those also on an Amazon page. And when somebody buys it on the Amazon page, you have two options. One, you have Amazon that already has these in their warehouse and Amazon ships it for you, or you get the order yourself and you ship it directly from your own business location. So that's usually how you would use your website with an Amazon together. There's not really, I don't really understand if there's another part of the question or if I answered it. So if you can let me know, that'd be great.
And then next question. So this attendee eventually wants to be able to sell their knowledge, such as through webinars, boot camps, classes, etc.? What would you recommend for that?
So yeah, that's a great question. None of these are set up for that. So I think what you're referring to is like a podcast or a video, a lecture series or something. There's some really great sites that are meant for that kind of thing. One is called Coursera, and one is called Udemy, the letter U and then DEMY. So Udemy, so both of those are meant for people who want to sell courses, and I think that's what you're probably should be focusing on. So I would look at Coursera and Udemy, but none of the e-commerce platforms we mentioned here would be a good fit for that.
Let's see. Okay, I'm interested in providing sports coaching and instruction materials, docs, PDFs, videos, live streams, while also offering in-person services like lessons and clinics. Any suggestions for educational or instructional platforms? Kind of maybe
Yeah.
or the kind of
And
same
that's a different
question.
question than the other one about the
Okay.
instruction. Is that a different question than the
It
other one
is a
I
different
answered about?
question.
Yeah.
Yes, a different
So
attempt.
I think the answer would be similar.
Yeah.
Coursera and Udemy are made if you have a series of coursework, you want somebody to pay to buy it or to pay a subscription. They get access to all new courses. So I would consider setting them up there and selling them there. Also, it sounds like a perfect situation to have your own website for. You can you don't need to necessarily have everything for sale on your website. You can link to like a Coursera for that. But on your website, if people want to book you to come in these in-person trainings, that's what your website would be really good at doing, having a contact form or a booking form and having your prices for that. So I would suggest your own website and Udemy to take the payments for selling the courses online. And again, if you have any follow-up questions about the best way to set that up, so go ahead and email us and I can probably provide some more detailed information.
Great. Okay, so this attendee has Wix as a website. They have books they want to allow people to buy an ebook, but also to allow them to do a print-on-demand T-shirt, books, and bags. Which site allows both? Or would you do a checkout that allows both? And they continue to say they're afraid to use Wix checkout because of hacking they've seen.
Okay. So the first question is the print on demand and selling books. So it sounds like you've got um, books that you have already published and then print on demand shirts. Was it shirts? Maybe they didn't
Yes,
say that.
T-shirts, book bags.
Yeah. So print on demand is a somewhat specialty e-commerce thing. I don't actually know to what level Wix supports that. I know Shopify has really good integrations with print on demand companies. So essentially what happens is with Shopify, if somebody types in their customized shirt, maybe it has their name or something, that information gets sent through a plugin from the Shopify site to the print on demand business. They get the information, the size of the shirt, the text to put on it, they print it, and in a lot of cases they'll ship it. They'll drop ship it right to that customer. So that's all happens automatically with some Shopify integrations. I don't know if Wix has similar integrations. I just haven't encountered that yet. So they might, and in which case that would probably work very similarly.
Oh, Cameron, you froze. I don't know if you can hear me. Give Cameron a minute, see if he comes back. Bear with us for one moment. Cameron might have to log out and log back in for a moment. Yeah, I think he'll be back in just one moment. Technology is great until it doesn't work, right? If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and drop those into the Q&A while we wait for Cameron to come back and join us. I do see we have a couple more questions here, so we'll get to those as soon as we can, hopefully. Another moment. Thanks for hanging in there. See if we can get him back and get these questions answered. Having a little difficulties. Haven't heard from him yet, so hopefully he's coming back on. I wish I could answer your questions too. Sorry, I can't. I will be back in a moment. Let me see if I can grab him. Oh, here he comes. Hey, Cameron.
Hi, apologies for that. We're having a bit of a storm here and my internet went down.
Oh,
So
no.
thanks for hanging in there, everybody. I wasn't gone
Yes,
for good. So
absolutely.
I believe I was answering the question about the Wix and the drop
Yes,
shipping. And I
right.
was just saying that I know it's possible with Shopify, but I don't know about Wix. So I think you should Google Wix on-demand printing and see if there's some integration. And if it's not, then you should consider Shopify because that works really well.
Great. Let's see. What can you tell me about the pros and cons of using Reverb to sell music-related products?
That's a great question. Reverb, I've heard of only in passing, and I don't have experience using that to sell music-related products. I do know that there's, some really popular ones like SoundCloud, and of course there's Spotify, and they're really big streaming platforms. So you might look into those, but Reverb, I don't have specific experience with.
Okay. Let's see. So, I've seen products on retailer sites which are not available directly on Amazon.com that offer Amazon payment processing. Is payment processing a separate offering from Amazon, or would they need an Amazon store with private unlisted products to accomplish this?
Yes, that's a great question. This is a new thing that I heard about just about a month ago. Amazon letting people pay like on your own .com website, letting Amazon be your payment processor, even if you're not selling that product on Amazon. So it's a new offering by them. I haven't really explored many of the details of that. So for example, I don't know if you need an Amazon store or an Amazon account only. I think you just need an Amazon account because they're trying to make themselves a payment processor like PayPal in a lot of different situations. But I have not used that yet. I've never worked with a small business in setting that up, so I don't really have a lot of details about it.
All right, do we have any other questions while we have Cameron back with us? Nothing is dropping in. So, Cameron, do you have any last words of wisdom before I wrap us up? We'll see if anything else pops into the Q&A.
Well, I mean, there's some great questions, and obviously there's a lot of aspects to running an e-commerce business, and there's everything from music to drop shipping to more traditional products. So almost anything you're trying to sell with your business, there's probably a way to sell that online. And I think it's good to continue to explore the latest trends and coming to presentations like this to get the latest up-to-date information. Feel free to reach out to the SBDC with questions. There's a lot of advisors with good skill sets to help you navigate these things. If you have some questions for me following this presentation, email the help email, let us know, and hopefully I can follow up with you more on those.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Cameron. Thank everyone who attended and stuck with us till the end. And just a reminder, you will receive an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBD resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. And we do hope to see you at our next session. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.